Hi, my name is Chris, and welcome to a new episode of What Went Wrong, a web series that explores the success and failures of films throughout the modern era. Now, 2015 has been and gone, and we've been treated to some great films, and some not so great films. So in this episode, we look at what went right, and list my top 10 films of 2015. Now, before we get started, you might notice some obvious choices missing from the list, and I just want to assure you that they have not been omitted or forgotten. However, I am basing my list on the Australian film release schedules, which means films like The Hateful Eight, The Big Short, and The Revenant have not been officially released yet. I may have seen some of these films during non-press screenings, but did not feel it was right to include them in my 2015 list, although fingers crossed they'll show up in my 2016 list. Some films may be missing simply because I didn't see them, or didn't rate them the same way other people have. So, let's look at how 2015 shaped up.
Who are you?
I'm no one.
Okay, look, I know a lot of people are probably ready to write off my entire list for daring to place The Force Awakens so low, but I honestly stand by it. I think once the hype dies down, a lot of people will view this with different eyes. It was great to see the Star Wars series revitalized, especially after the prequels, and it's great to see so many of the original cast back. But honestly, I'm more excited for the new characters. I think Finn will be an interesting character in future installments. I don't think we saw enough of Poe Dameron, and Kylo Ren really did steal the show.
Nothing will stand in our way. I will finish what you started.
Never had a job.
Who are you? Your father saved my life.
Dean says you're fair game.
Boys, I've had a rather emotional day, so whatever your beef with Eggsy is, and I'm sure it's well-founded, I'd appreciate it if you could just leave us in peace.
Of the 4 spy movies that came out this year, this is the only one that actually felt fresh and reinvigorated the genre, which is amazing considering it's the same year as a new Bond movie.
Manners maketh man. Do you know what that means? Then let me teach you a lesson.
Once again, Matthew Vaughn punches so much energy into this new spy franchise, which takes away a lot of the figurative shit that happens in spy films and just pushes it to its literal endpoint. Upping the violence and swapping out the double entendres for their literal meanings, this was an early surprise hit for the year.
Sorry about that. Needed to let off a little steam.
I heard you've been spending a lot of time at your auntie house. How's the couch life?
Got my woman and my baby living there. It's hard, man. But you know, everybody can't do what you do.
You know, I'm not the biggest fan of rap music, but I have always respected the work of NWA, and their story on the big screen was one of the better made music biopics of the last decade.
Cruising down the street in my 6'4".
Hey, that was dope, eh?
Avoiding a lot of the cliches of other music biopics, but obviously omitting a lot of important aspects of some of the key cast members of NWA's life stories, it is still an entertaining film from start to finish that reminds you of the incredible influence they have had on the music industry and beyond.
Believe a memory, no one will be forgetting. So as I leave, believe I'm starving. But when I come back, boy, I'm coming straight out of Compton.
Rocky VII really transcends the normal Rocky movies to become something that we can really invest in.
I heard about a third fight between you and Apollo, behind closed doors. Is that true?
How do you know all this?
I'm his son.
Michael B. Jordan echoes Carol Weathers' Apollo Creed, but still manages to make his creed his own. And Sylvester Stallone steps up for once and doesn't just seem to be going through the motions this time, as he presents his most humble and human Rocky Balboa since the first Rocky movie. Director Ryan Coogler made some really creative choices with the filming and editing that really helps to separate this film from the other Rocky movies, but still really feels like it belongs within the Rocky universe.
See this guy here? That's the toughest opponent you're ever going to have to face. I believe that's true in the ring, and I think that's true in life. Now show me something.
A soldier, the size of an insect. The ultimate secret weapon.
Scott, you're different. Be skillful, agile, fast. I need you to be the AntMan.
Now, if you had told me in 2014 that Ant-Man was going to be a better film than Age of Ultron, I would have just laughed in your face. But, quite surprisingly, Paul Rudd's introduction to the Marvel Cinematic Universe brought me back to when I first saw Iron Man.
There's no reason to be scared.
Oh, no, Daddy don't get scared.
Really?
How'd you do that, bro?
Look at your shoulder.
Switching up the normal Marvel template, which, to be fair, kind of made Phase 2 feel a little repetitive, for a heist film, really made Ant-Man feel fresh. The humor worked so well, Michael Douglas was an excellent Hank Pym, and I cannot wait to see Ant-Man return in 2016's Civil War.
I guarantee you that at some point, everything's gonna go south on you.
Ready?
And you're gonna say, this is it. This is how I end.
Commander, Mark is dead.
We have to go now.
Now you can either accept that, or you can get to work.
Another year, another movie where Matt Damon needs to be saved. Only this time, it's a shit ton of fun and makes science and mathematics interesting and engaging.
Mark Watney's still alive.
Woo! In your face, Neil Armstrong.
It could easily be argued that this is just explicit propaganda for NASA, but this is escapism, people. Scientists can be super cool and hip. Sure, Matt Damon's character is probably far too upbeat for a guy stuck on a planet all by himself, but I will definitely take upbeat Matt Damon over dour Matt Damon after his second run as an off-planet castaway.
Tell my family that I never stop fighting to make it home.
State Department is pulling an agent that specializes in responding to escalated cartel activity.
This is not my department.
FBI!
An intense, masculine, edge-of-your-seat thriller that deals with the drug cartel that stars a woman?
Do we get an opportunity of the men responsible for today?
Men who are really responsible for today.
Yes, that's right. A movie that any other time would have starred a random male action star was instead swapped out for Emily Blunt, who holds her own against Benicio del Toro, Josh Brolin, and John Bernthal. Gritty, real, uncompromising, this film hits all the right tension points with nail-biting action matched with great procedural drama. A must-watch if you haven't seen it.
I'm gonna tell everyone what you did.
That would be a major mistake.
I'm
joy. This is sadness. That's anger. What? This is disgust. And that's fear. We're Riley's emotions.
Finally, a movie that teaches kids to listen to the voices in their heads and made adults sob as they relived their own complicated childhood emotions.
The core memories!
Can I say that curse word now?
One of Pixar's best movies ever, Inside Out is not just an entertaining movie, but a movie that educates children and adults about how to manage and handle their own emotions. It teaches us that sometimes all we need is a good cry, and at the end of the day, isn't that one of the most valuable lessons for anyone to learn? With some great voice work from Amy Poehler and the rest of the supporting cast, I dare you not to cry when Bing Bong fades away.
Brain freeze!
How long until we get to his estate?
We've been flying over his estate for the past 2 hours.
Caleb, I'm just gonna throw this out there so it's said, okay? You're freaked out. You're freaked out to be meeting me, having this conversation in this room at this moment, right? But can we just get past that? The whole employer-employee thing?
It's good to meet you, Nathan.
It's good to meet you too, Caleb.
Now look, I'm going to admit it, it was tough to decide on this and my number one film, because rarely do you find a movie that explores what might have happened if Steve Jobs had lived long enough to create his own iPerson.
This building isn't a house. It's a research facility. And I want to talk to you about what I'm researching. You want to see something cool?
This was one of this year's rare gems that really just kept you engaged the whole length of the film. Yes, the effects were beautifully creepy, but it's the concepts and ideas of this polished sci-fi that make it one of the best films of the year. It introduced us to Alicia Vikander and began Oscar Isaac's and Domhnall Gleeson's year as cinema's most valuable players.
Who's the real test?
You.
Is it strange to have made something that hates you? What will happen to me if I fail your test?
In this wasteland, I am the one who runs from both the living and the dead. A man reduced to a single instinct. Survive.
Now let's just stop and think about this number one for a moment. It was a franchise being rejuvenated after 30 years. It was being directed by that 70-year-old guy who made those talking pig movies and those dancing penguin movies. And it had constant delays and on-set issues. This should have been an absolute disaster, but instead, we got Mad Max Fury Road.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Look, there are good films, there are great films, and then there are masterpieces, and that's what Mad Max Fury Road is. It has some of the most amazing stunts and visuals that have just been married together with well-placed CGI, and it makes great use of audio and soundtrack mixing thanks to Junkie XL. Sure, there was a small group of people who complained that there wasn't enough story to warrant a movie, and I'd argue that the simple story allows for a striking approach to filmmaking along with some amazing themes and visuals. There was, of course, an even smaller group of people who said this was feminazi propaganda, but honestly, I won't even validate their views. Quite frankly, they can go back to their trailer park, laugh at Adam Sandler movies, and f*** their cousins.
It was hard to know who was more crazy. Me or everyone else.
So thanks for checking out my list. If you agree or disagree, then don't be afraid to say something in the comments section. Also, if you want to check out my original reviews for each of these films, then just click on the links in the description below. If you want to see my list of worst films of 2015, then all you need to do is just go onto my YouTube page. And if you're enjoying all of this, then don't forget to subscribe. I realize that's a lot of ifs. This is Chris Gooch for the Film Lounge, signing off.